Good morning and welcome to another episode of Behind That Track. I believe we're at episode 7 now. I might be wrong. I'm not really keeping track of it. So, might be episode 6, might be episode 8. I think it's 7. We'll find out when I upload this. Uh, for all of you tuning in to this episode, thank you again. I appreciate all the traffic, all the support for like the 12 or 20 of you that actually do watch. Today's episode is going to be following my newest release called Remedy. This one came out a couple of days ago, and as I do usually with most of my releases, I want to have some sort of background content to show you guys into basically how I came up with this song, mostly to gain traction to the actual song, and mostly just to maybe inspire and help some other people out there. I highly doubt the second one really happens, but hey, got to start somewhere, right? So let's start off within the project. Now, I didn't really have a path with this one. I kind of started with the routine I usually start with, which is bass, drums, and then finding kind of a lyric pack that went with it, and build from there. And that's essentially what I did. So I can't really say there's much more to it than that. There is a lot of elements to this one. I took so many different inspirations, but we'll work through different core elements. First, let's start off with the bass and the drums, which is usually what I always work my way through at the beginning. The bass itself, the notes, I kind of went off a template that I'd found, but I also played with it to work within what I wanted. I added some extra notes, some extra spaces. So what it sounds like is this. Sorry. So this is the bass alone. Sorry, I had the bells in the background, but yeah. Like this riff here, this little bounce back, that I'm pretty sure I remember adding this part because I really like that at the end of my 4-bar loop. Let me break it down. Sub bass, pretty straightforward. Always, I like to separate my subs at every moment, at every chance I can. Bounce bass that I had, this one I'm pretty sure, yeah, it's an actual analog bass. Pretty sure I got it off Contact, and I'm pretty sure it's the what did I use? Did I use Scarby bass? Scarby bass. I ripped it off. I didn't rip it. I got it as inspiration off some other artists who absolutely love it. Paid a fortune for it, and I don't use it enough. So I used it as my plucky bass in this one, and to add that more saturated element to my bass, I then added an actual synth bass, which is still pretty plucky, pretty bouncy, but together, they offer what I want. So a little bit more of that analog, a little bit more of that digital. So you kind of get both in there, because alone, it's not really the same. Like if I take out the digital one, this sub bass almost takes over a bit, and there's not much saturation. There's not much different frequencies to it. You could see that here in the EQ. It doesn't really go far in terms of the amount of frequencies you get with it. But once I add in that digital one, it really adds more to it. Do I have one here? No, I don't. But here, yeah, it gives it more grit, and I've saturated them a bit. I'm pretty sure I have some saturation on there. Yeah, pretty sure I do. So that's it for the bass. Drums, again, this is where I spent a lot of time on, and you could see the amount. Sometimes I'll be lazy and I'll really just use some top loops, because I find tops and percussions are, I'm not gonna say hard to do. It's fun, but like getting a good groove sometimes and getting good quality ones, better just usually to use a loop and kind of like chop it up, which is usually what I do. put a shaper box on it, and I'll bounce it around here. Then I play with the volume. Yeah, there we go. So, what do the drums sound like? Yeah, no, nothing too crazy. Not much percussion there. Um, with the bass, it should sound like this. I did have like a rattle in there, so I added some texture, not too much in terms of percussion. I don't want to go too overboard. The usual hats, claps, snares, shaker, and some percussion going left and right. Um, with the kick, no, so kick, bass, kick. I separated again with another sub kick. I've been doing it. I've always I kind of like went away from it for like one or two tracks, and I'll come back to it just because I want that analog kind of kick on one, and then more of like a subby kick on the other. So uh, that's what I've been doing now. Kick and bass with the drums. Let's see. Always side chaining the bass with the kick. I mean, if you're not doing this, then you need to I got lucky that this kick was rather short, so didn't need to cut it too much. Did I actually? Yeah. Sometimes I'll do the opposite on the actual kick itself, just to make sure mathematically, like it's mathematically. Sorry, like it's never they're never hitting each other. Like literally, it stops that from ever happening. The bell I used, this one is kind of following the melody, which follow the lyrics. You'll hear that once I get to the lyrics, but if I play it here, I had different versions. I had a build version of the bells. I had a second build, and then the actual chorus, which is much more developed and follows the melody. So here's like the chorus. So it follows the melody, which is essentially the lyrics. That's the melody it kind of went with here, but it also kind of follows the bass in certain aspects. So like you heard that this part here, that also follows that bounce of that bass. So it was a kind of in between. That added some context. At first, I wanted that to be the full melody of the song, but the bells couldn't carry it alone. So I've used it as a texture in this case. It's just an extra layer. Guitar, I mean, it's just a regular, it should be just a muted guitar. This might have been one of the best guitars I've ever used because it worked so well my with my drums and even with my melody. Like it never really clashed. It was always really in the background. The notes followed well. It was, again, it's a loop. I don't play guitar, unfortunately. But even like, let's say, in the empty spaces here where there was that like that bounciness within the bells and the bass, like I was able to loop it at like one of the plucks and just chop it up, and it works beautifully. So in the actual full use of the guitar, I'm getting the full loop out of it, and I'm just chopping it up in the last four of that. Sorry, at the end of the four bars. But then in, let's say, the breaks, I would use it chopped up and heavily echoed, so I would just get that bounciness. But then at the end of the four bars again, I would use that bounce. So again, one of the best guitars I've used, and I'm actually very happy with it in this song. And even in the break and like the build up, I just loop it and build up that tension. So key group, nothing really crazy here. I'm pretty sure I used a plucked synth and then a pad underneath, the usual. I mean, I usually do a short and then a long underneath. Very, very emotional and wide and fat. Like this, I love these, again, so much I love about this song, and I really hope that comes across, and some people actually enjoy it and see the work. Like a lot of this came together so beautifully. Um, yeah, so just electric piano, the Queen one too. Well, the one they use on "You're My Best Friend." Apparently, it's modeled after that. Pad, another just analog pad here. This is where a lot of the motion comes from. Like I heard this, I'm like, oh, like that is just lovely. Um, Usually I leave the lower bass notes out, but because there's no real bass playing here and only comes in afterwards, I left it in, and it comes back afterwards. But I've been noticing that leaving those lower notes gives me so much more. Like again, the depth I get. Like if I take those out, first of all, listen to that. That was beautiful. If I take these out, it's not nearly the same, Yeah, see what I mean? Not remotely. You get so much more depth with it. So I've been leaving that in. And those are there from the first break where the lyrics come in, and then they stay within the actual drop, but they're heavily sidechained. And like I said, I got rid of the bass notes there. What else? Simple ARP I used and just build tension. Once the lyrics kind of start chopping up and start building towards the drop, second, I just add another level of I'm trying to remember the word here. A higher frequency, sorry. That was a last minute addition. I did that like a day or two before I set it for release because I wanted the extra more tension because I didn't think I had it enough. Okay, lyrics. So the full lyric, I had different versions that I had, so different loops. This was the chorus. When I heard it, I knew right away. Where are you now? Can we work it out? Need to find the remedy. This is like it was the dry chorus. It could have been a break, but I'm like, no, I'm gonna use it on the chorus. That's my main. This was the background. And then this one, I've been pulling so much inspiration from different songs, different artists. This is a heavily, let's say, modified version of the main. So this was a backing loop anyways. So if I take out, like, let's say all the effects, I'm pretty sure. Where are you now? It's wide and it is a backing vocal, but I put on a compressor, I dropped the formant and kind of put a bit of a modulator on it to give it that electro sound. I wanted that. Why am I forgetting my words today? Shoots. Trying to remember the word for when you have the electric voices. Gosh darn it. Vocoder. I really wanted that vocoder sound, but wasn't really possible to create it. So I kind of added that with the formant. And yeah, I had different versions of it too. There's a bouncing vocal here in the back. It was, again, meant to be a background vocal. Yeah. This one too, it was supposed to be a vocoder. I changed my mind on it, but it's more like a background ad lib. So those are the vocals. The melody I mentioned beforehand with the bells. Again, in the drop, I initially just had the bells and the vocals, and I felt like something was missing. So we work it out, need to find the remedy. Crush through the ground. It worked okay in the first part, like the part one, let's say 1.1 of my drop, but in the second area of my drop, I wanted something more. I wanted a contrast to the first part of that drop. So what I did was I kept that vocoder backing vocal, but then I added like a synth that would follow the melody. So not only the bells, but then I had this synth. And I found the synth early on. Like this one, I was creating the bass. And I'm pretty sure, yeah, it's from my bass station too. So I'm like, this kind of works. And I don't want to get rid of it. So I kept it until the end. like I didn't know where I was going to use it, how I was going to use it. I kept it here for like the entire project, and then at the end, I'm like, you know what? Let's try this. And I kept it low, but it follows the lyrics, not perfectly because I didn't want it to be absolutely perfect, but you know. So it was just something to give more, and of course afterwards I put even a this was a vocal. Yeah, I just added a choir in there just because I can't not use choirs. Again, that second part of that drop, I lose the main vocal. It's just there as like a chop, and you get the wide vocoder version, which is this. That's like kind of like your main vocal there, but there's different other elements backing it. So a lot of the structure of this song is unnatural. Like I didn't follow. I don't have any reference track here at all. Like I didn't use one. I usually have one above. This one kind of came out of nowhere, and I couldn't really understand what I wanted. Like the beginning, I kind of wanted to be a tease, but a typical, no lyric, new disco vibe where it's just um, all the elements of that disco without the vocals, without the melody. Like so you're kind of get a taste for it, and it might hurt me in my in my just natural, say I'm gonna say listening you like amount of the song. Like people, unfortunately, they're gonna listen to the beginning of the song and be like, oh, there's nothing here. Artistically, I'm okay with that because the song only has two kind of drops, but the vocals and the main part of the song come in for only, let's say, three quarters. So as of, let's say, the second minute here, remember the way that it was. Like you're teased with it here, so you kind of get a first drop with nothing, and you get like a second, like a 1.2 version of that drop with a bit of a tease, and then you get the vocals, and then you get a completely second drop here that also has two parts to it. So, like I said, there's a lot of aspects and factors to this song, and I put a lot of time into it. Just look on effects, like my effects group is massive. String tension, nothing special there. I do have a riser, which I've been loving the sound of lately. Can't remember the name of it. It's a certain type of riser that I, again, copied off of one of my favorite instructors on YouTube. And yeah, that's about it. I mean, those are the main elements of the song. Um, Chopped up some different things for, let's say, for builds and stuff. But yeah, I absolutely loved creating this one. I was excited to release it. I'm excited about how it sounds. It's not, like I said, it's not your typical template and structure as, let's say, most new disco songs out there. But I wanted really to, bring together a lot of the things I've learned. And I think this is one of the most complete songs I've made because besides, some parts at the beginning where it's a bit empty and still, like you're kind of like, okay, what's happening here? You don't know what's coming. I feel like it builds nicely to the second portion of the song. So in all, maybe not my best song ever, depending how you look at it, but I, as a producer, find so much about this that works nicely. I mean, I fought with a lot of it and fought with myself trying to get it together, but in the end, like I spent so much time on the drop, and not on the drop, sorry, the build up, because I couldn't get my release sound right. I used so many different things. I had, like a drum fill, it didn't sound good, and at one point I'm like, you know what, I'm just gonna leave it. So just all I'm gonna have is a reverse clap in there, which just releases everything. Like it was supposed to be a drum fill and then a clap. So I mean, so yeah, that is the song, guys. I did this in 20 minutes. No idea how. Again, these aren't practiced. These aren't edited. This is just me going into my old project and showing you guys what I came up with. If you enjoyed this, please either leave a like. If you enjoyed a specific portion and you want to tell me what it was, leave it in the comments. If you want to see something different, also leave that in the comments. I'll be more than happy to see that. If it's just negative feedback, hey, put it in the comments. At least it's something. I'll take it, because again, I do this just for myself and for the few people that actually want to see this. And yeah, for those of you that stuck around this long, thank you. I truly appreciate it. If there's anything else, like I said, you want to see about this project or about other projects, leave it in the comments. I've been debating going back to even some of my older songs. I know I did a video on my first song, but there's other songs in there that I might want to go back to. So yeah, leave it in the comments. And once again, for those of you that stuck around, thank you. I appreciate you. If you didn't stick around and you only watched the first few seconds, appreciate you anyways. So till next time, thank you for tuning in.